If you have watched any of my other magic-focused runs so far, you might know that I like setting things on fire. It doesn't matter if it's human, Khajiit, Argonian, monster, spawner right out of hell. Everything and everyone can be turned into a pile of ash if you just believe in yourself and arson. It is no different in Oblivion. If it can burn, it will burn. Or freeze to death, or get electrocuted, depending on your preferences. Can you beat Oblivion Remastered with only destruction magic? Rules are simple. I can only kill enemies with destruction magic. This beautiful high elf is going to be today's hero. Her name is Jeannie, with a slight spelling mistake so the descendants of my inspiration wouldn't sue me. I choose a high elf as they start out with the highest points in destruction magic. Tutorial blah blah blah, you know the drill. I had the fire spell Flare, which made getting through the tutorial way easier. I made a custom class Potter, as my little nieces had recently gotten into Harry Potter. And I threw all the magic attributes into major skills, so it kinda made sense for me. Anyway, the Emperor gave me the Amulet of Kings, died, and I was supposed to find his bastard child, Martin, in Kvatch. I did not do that. Instead, I hit up every mage's guild in every city out there to join them after dropping the Amulet of Kings at Joffrey's in Wayne Prairie. I came to realize that technically you don't have to do a single spell in any of the starter missions, so that's interesting. Can you beat the Mage's Guild questline without casting any spells, I guess? That's a bridge I'm going to cross when I come to it. For now, I'm just going to set it on fire. You might be wondering why I have chosen to start a Mage's Guild questline. First of all, Oblivion's main story is rather short if you only do that. So I wanted to present you a bit more than just this tiny bit of a huge game and make it a little bit more of a challenge. Second, I have my eyes on a single spell. Upon reaching the rank Wizard, you are gifted knowledge of the spell Wizard's Fury. And fuck me in the ass, that spell is OP. It does fire, shock and frost damage. More damage the better your skill is, and the fire damage goes over several seconds, which is just peak. But to get to the rank of the wizard, you need to do nearly the whole questline. So I did the whole questline, which revolves around necromancers being mad at regular mages for outlawing them, and them trying to stake a revolution. Because I have no respect for any living being apart from my own self, every single necromancer I came across was turned into ash or had so much electricity shoved up their asses they could work as a conductor. Or so I said not even global warming could harm them permafrost ass fuckers. So yeah, instead of doing any kind of main mission, I did the whole Mage's Guild questline. Since leveling up in Oblivion is kind of, how should I say it, a second thought than something you have to think of all the time, I only bothered to level up once to unlock a data quest for later on. Because of this, the enemies were all rather weak, but my spells also stayed weak. During the questline, I made a pit stop at Edgar's discount spells to get hold of the Snowball spell, which does frost damage to the target in case you hadn't figured that out by yourself. How a snowball does damage, you might ask? Have you ever gotten a snowball in the eye which had a bit of ice or a small stone in it, which led to you getting a major headache and pain in the eye, and the other child didn't even have to apologize just because he didn't mean it, but you know he had it planned because he was an absolute unlovable fuck that not even his own parents wanted him. So he let out his anger towards other children because nobody gives a shit about this little asshole, and even these days nobody gives a fuck about him. I always knew you wanted to blind me, Chrissy, you disgusting fuck. Anyway, that's how snowballs do damage in-game and IRL. Blah blah blah, I finished the Mage's Guild questline and became the Archmage, which is kinda cool, and now I also have the Wizard's Fury spell, which is awesome, and now it is time to do the main questline. In Kvatch, I'm going to be honest, at this point I kind of knew how to deal with Oblivion Gates, which is by jumping around the terrain to get around and skip over dungeons that weren't useful. In my level 2 glory, I closed the Oblivion Gate in front of Kvatch and saved a lot of people, just not everyone. But thankfully, Martin, love of my life, was one of the saved people. I brought him back to Wayne Prairie, but since nothing can go right in a video game and because Joffrey might be a bit stupid, the amulet was stolen by a cult, and now instead of celebrating Martin as the new emperor, the Blights gotta keep him safe at their hideout, and Jeannie's suicide mission was to retrieve the amulet because of plot armor. Jeannie infiltrated a meeting of the Mythic Dawn, that's the name of the cult, and I actually tried to play it out the normal way by pretending to be a member. But at one point, after their leader had disappeared and took the amulet with him, I should have killed the prisoner as ritual to get me into the book club. But I would have had to kill the prisoner with a dagger, which is not possible as it is a destruction magic only run. So instead I set everyone else on fire in the dungeon. Works fine for me too, I guess it's barbecue season here anyways. Without the amulet, I returned to the hideout just to be ordered to gather a Daedric artifact. Here the level up comes into play as the first Daedric missions start at level 2, and as always I use Shugarath and torment the souls of a small settlement of Kashites, making them believe the end of the world was coming. In this mission, if you were to do it the correct way, you should have given poison to the sheep to kill them, but instead I set the sheep on fire! And put the poison into the feeding spot after they were all in a better place called the slaughterhouse.
Okay, so Rex from the future here. I have a problem during editing, and that is the last video that I have for this challenge run is broken. I cannot open it, I cannot do anything with it. If I want to put it into the editing software, it just makes the whole software stop, so yay, fun times. I'm going to underlay the rest of the audio with a little bit of videos from this challenge run, but I'm so sorry. I have no idea what the fuck I did wrong there. I'm so sorry.
I returned with the Wobbit check, and lo and behold, I have to grab something else to the surprise of absolutely fucking nobody. Now it's Tiber Septim's armor, which has been inside a catacomb for ages, and nobody who entered the catacombs ever came out alive. Great. Peachy. Absolutely amazing. Thanks, you two. But thanks to the writing of the lovely people over at Bethesda HQ, you actually made it out alive after killing a bunch of undead enemies such as skeletons and ghosts and freeing a bunch of undead blades from their curse. After that, I gave aid to Bruma guards to close an Oblivion gate that had opened up right outside of Bruma, and then brought in Anvil as aid for the upcoming big fight. And once again, I closed both Oblivion gates by jumping around and skipping as much as I possibly could, because I couldn't get asked to not exploit this. But to be fair, in my eyes, this is not much different than using the horse in Skyrim to scale up a mountain. Second to last fetch quest, now it is time to grab a great weakenly stone to balance out the item from the last fetch quest. And it is in an old ruin called Miskarkant. There was a mini-boss fight. It for sure was mini because I killed the boss with a few shift motions of my hands and freezing him to death even though I'm not really sure if he was alive in the first place. Oh well. Okay, Battle of Bruma, let's go. One thing I really like about the battle is that every time an enemy spawns, at least some of them get stuck in the terrain, which makes them perfect victims for a spell cast right between their eyebrows. Apart from a few unnamed NPCs, everyone survived. I retrieved a great sigil stone, and now Martin could open up a portal to the cult leader's paradise to make me kill him. I ran through the paradise, not caring about what the cult leader had to say, and shortly after entering, I left with the Amulet of Kings ready for Martin and one less cult leader to worry about in the future, especially when we all know that the best cult leader is still Joseph Seed. Final countdown, Martin was supposed to be recognized as new emperor, but the cult and Maruna's Dagon tried to piss on our parade and attack the imperial city. After bringing Martin to the temple, he embraced his fursona and turned into an avatar of Akatosh, taking Maroon's Dagon down and turning into stone in the progress. Fate, the last cutscene rolls, and I can say that yes, you can beat Oblivion Remastered with only destruction magic. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I love reducing the health points of enemies to 0 in many different ways, but this was one of my favorite ways. Killing is fun, setting things on fire is fun, 10 out of 10 would absolutely play this challenge again. All in all, this challenge took me 6 hours and 50 minutes to beat. Alright, that's it for today, people. My name is Rexy, and this was my video on beating Oblivion Remastered with only destruction magic. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!